was an interesting contribution. I probably have a slightly different perspective on some of those areas, but let's just look at the core areas that, that were raised during question time by those opposite. They started off with housing and housing supply. It was a series of questions from Senator Bragg. And then we went to energy policies, and then we went to industry development, and then to environment laws. And what I find quite interesting is there are four core areas that, ourselves and my good colleagues opposite have been arguing about for many a decade. But what we hear now, if I cast my mind back to 2021, we were building up towards the 2022 election, and everyone was putting forward, their offerings to the people of Australia to say, who should you vote for? What is it? What's the kind of country you want to live in? What is it that you believe in, and how are you going to cast your vote here? And I think the people of Australia looked at that and they said, well, if we just take these four areas, because they're the four that were raised today in QT. Housing supply, well, quite clearly the Coalition were in government for 10 prior years, and for those 10 prior years they neglected housing. They neglected housing because you can't turn around supply of housing in a year or even one term. You're talking about significant structural change to get the housing supply that we need in this country to ensure that people have choices, that we protect renters, that we provide opportunities and support for people to purchase their own homes, and that we make sure that that supply is there for people in need, people who need social housing, who need supports. But no, a decade of neglect meant that we are where we are now. And now we see the Labor government, having been elected in 2022 by the people who had a look back over 10 years and went, hell no. And that's where we stand now. And when it came to 2025 and the same propositions were put, the people of this country had a long, hard look at the Coalition and the offerings, and once again they said, hell no. And who could blame them? Because it's not just housing. The other issues that have been raised today, energy policies. They had 23 different energy policies over that period of time. Couldn't decide which way they were going, couldn't decide what they were going to do, and now all we see on our nightly televisions, on the front page of every newspaper around the country, is how divided and confused and uncertain they really are. They have no clue where they're going, no clue what they're offering the country. No wonder nobody wants to vote for you. And then we move on to industry development. Well, since the Albanese Labor government came to this place, to this side of the chamber, since the Albanese government has been in charge, we have made huge strides in industry, bringing back a sense of pride in our country to build things here, to build jobs, to support people, to improve our training and education system so that our young people have opportunities for good jobs, that they can see a rosy future. When those opposite were in charge, what happened to industry? Oh, sorry, car industry, anybody? Anybody ever heard of the car industry? Well, we used to have one, but not anymore. And then we go on to the other area that was raised today in question time, and that's environmental law. Well, there are those of us who've been engaged in that issue for some considerable time. And what we have seen, like each of those other areas that we've been talking about today, an absolute shocking and woeful neglect. Shocking and woeful neglect. And now we stand here with a bill that has been introduced which will turn around the neglect of the environment, that will actually help business and help the environment, give clarity to those who are wishing to build housing, etc., while also making sure that we draw a hard line about where our environment, what our environment should look like and what we will not tolerate.